Looking at is a homemade sifter, okay? What I do is whenever I work with top rock that I take off my land, I harvest the sand out of it, which you're looking in here, if you can see it. That's all sand, and we've got a 1/4 inch. If you can see the grid pattern, there's a 1/4 inch screen. Just about every piece of rock and dirt on the surface of my 2 properties has gone through this sifter. I've gone through 4 screens. Tons and tons and tons of sand and rock have been harvested through this thing. But that's the start of this presentation. I'll show you what I'm doing and make a proposition to you, or I'll explain. I've been here 12 years, so I know a little more about drainage, and I've been through a few monsoons. What you're looking at right now is, I want to show you before, and when I'm done I'll show you the after. But what this is you look down the line of the house, I've got, that's 6 mil plastic that's 5 feet wide. It's about 4.5 wide. That tar paper is 3 feet wide. All along the edge, you'll see I'll walk down there, but you can see about 2/3 of the way down the plastic ends. That's where I found the highest spot. What I tried to do was find the highest spot between the golf course and the street to start coming this way. That's 50 foot of plastic. And I don't know how, but what I've done is, going back there, I removed the top rock, I put it through the sifter, and the sand, and then I regraded. And you don't have to worry that I've graded any water onto your property. Your property sits higher than mine. Your pad sits higher than mine, so it just naturally slopes. What I've done is facilitate the water getting off both of our properties. When your water runs onto my property, it's going to run right here along this border. And this surface now that I'm walking on is all sifted rock. There's no sand in it. I took the sand out of it. Where the sand is underneath the 6 mil plastic. Okay, I put a condom, a 5 foot wide or 4.5 foot wide condom on my property to help facilitate getting the water off our properties. Okay, and I'm going to try to, as I walk slowly around here, I have to start when I get done with the street. And we'll turn this way. Oh, and I forgot, I walked by. But there's so much top rock that they've applied to our lots that I have a lot of excess of top rock. All right, I've got sand and top rock everywhere. This is excess. I don't have enough room to put it down. I don't want to put any more here. This has got way enough. But what I have to do, if you look, the plastic, that plastic sits 2 inches. I bought some of this scorpion bait that the guy promised me at the bug store to work, but you have to put it in here. So I'm going to sprinkle it along here, and then you have to soak it in. And what I do every month, he gave me some of this super time release. He said you'll never worry about a termite if you just once a month spray. So once a month I spray around here. So I'm going to comb all this back. You won't see the plastic, but they're all it's going to be with no rocks in it right there. And this is all going to drain. Your house is right there. Okay? It sits higher than this house. If you can see the slope, all the water that hits your property is going to come up here. Now, if I still owned your house, knowing what I know now, I would have covered this all with plastic. I would have had it all. What we've done now, and what I've done all the way down to where it is I follow the slope, and they got a pretty good slope to get the water to the road here. Okay? But on the other side of this house, between the 2 houses, it's covered with plastic completely, from wall to wall. and then it's covered with tar paper completely from wall to wall. So whenever it rains, and I pitched it, I put a level, I had like a half a bubble drop all the way, and so I have positive, and no water sinks into the ground. You have to understand that these lots were designed as catch basins. Okay? Yeah, either you accept that fact or you don't, but they were. That property line of rocks right there is out of compliance. It doesn't drop right to left enough, and it starts out about a foot high. And it's not dropping. The left side isn't dropping like it's supposed to. And because I bought all three of these lots, they just continued making my lot the retention basin. So, right about here where you see that green thing off in the distance, that's probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches higher than your patio. They made it level with the rock. The rock makes it level, but if you strip all the rock off there, you'll see, and if you put a level on it, instead of running toward the golf course, it doesn't. It runs toward your patio. What I'm going to do is before I graded a video of storms, what you're looking at here, right here, is what I have to do now. My proposition to you is, you'll see it in the video, right here on the east side of your patio for about 15 or 20 feet south of that brand new Trane air conditioning unit, you get a lake every time it rains. You're going to see video of the after where you see that you get a small accumulation of water for about 3 feet in front of your patio coming off that eave. Okay? You have two options. Put gutters up like I did, and you hire somebody. I don't want to do it. I've had enough labor doing it myself. But I have no problem with you, if you want to pull the top cover off here, get some kids, get a laborer, you can use my sifter. Pull this top cover off here, okay? Regrade it to use this channel. This channel is going to get reworked. I hope I get it to rework this channel. I didn't put a bladder down between here, the outs of the spout. I didn't put a bladder down all the way to there, but there is a ditch. It's like a French drain. But I want to put a bladder. My suggestion to you is probably to go 5 or 10 feet out from your patio, harvest the top rock, engineer a little drop. That patio is 31 feet wide. I know it because I built the house. I had the house built, so it's 31 feet wide. So if you have it drop a 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch over 10 feet, you'd have an 1.5 inch drop that you could, over 10 feet, channel everything that comes off that eave right to here, and I'll accept your water. I'll help you. We'll sculpt this so the water comes off your eave into a plastic lined trough with enough pitch to it to bring it here, and I'm going to put in a brand new trough here, a bladder, and I suggest at least here to line that with a bladder. Harvest the rock off it. Take all the sand that you get off the harvest. What I do is I sweep all the little rocks and pebbles off, and now I've got sifted sand. So I float a bed of sifted sand pitch, and it's much easier to grade that way. You just come along with a rake and grade it, and when you got it eyed out where you think it's going to drop the way you want it, you cover it with plastic. And then all your harvested rock that doesn't have any sand in it, you put it in. That rock is going to drain much better than it did before. And you're going to have a bladder here. You're going to keep the water. What's happening, Jeff, is when you get a puddle or a pool of water in front of that patio, it's landlocked. The only way it's going to go is evaporation or soak into the ground. Or what the other says in the manual, it says pump. What I'm suggesting to you is build build an ancient pump. You can pump the water from that far solar on the far column all the way down to this right here. If you harvest the top rock for 5 feet, put a trough right in the middle, like 30 inches is halfway between 5 feet. You put a little trough. You line it with plastic, cover it with, nobody will ever know it's there. Also, it's weed control. Wherever you put down plastic, you see all these weeds? I'm never going to have weeds through here again. I don't ever have to worry about weeds in here again, okay? Weeds don't grow in rocks, and if they do, they can't take hold. They're easy to harvest. You can come out, if you see a weed starting, you can pull it right out of the ground. But this is weed control, it's drainage control. They built these 3 lots to be retention basins. I defeated the retention basin that they built to make me the neighborhood sponge. I bought 3 houses. All 3 of those houses are going to be the sponge that's a substitute for that catch basin over there. It didn't look like this 3 years ago. I spent 2 years and $8,000, removed 100 cubic feet of dirt. I had to tear out all the old landscaping that I paid $3,000 for and put in new plants, new irrigation, new everything. But let me take you over and show you this house right here. Where I'm standing, this circle, where I'm showing you with the camera that goes around my deck, for the 4 feet all the way around it, there's plastic and tar paper. What you're looking at is rock, and you're seeing the weeds there. That's because there's that border, I can't get them out. You don't see weeds anywhere else. All right, this patio right here, for 10 feet out, I've got 2 layers of 6mm plastic, and then I overlap like you'd put shingles on the house or tar paper a house. I overlap tar paper for that whole 10 feet. Everything else from here to the plants, is covered with landscape fabric. And I regraded it. Now the water doesn't sit between those 2 houses anymore like it did. It isn't landlocked. Now it goes down as far as the golf course border. You'll see that in the video. But what I'm suggesting to you is because you're young, you're smart, you're ambitious, and I want to sell you my house, you know, the offer still stands. Bring cash and a lawyer. You bring cash and a lawyer, we'll make a deal. And you can have this house, you can have both of them. I'm sick of living here. But what I'm trying to do as a neighbor is suggest to you a drainage system that's going to keep water out from under your house. In the present, the way it is now, if it rains for 5 days straight, not a hard rain, just a steady rain for 5 days straight, you're going to store water under your house like a battery stores voltage. The water's going to come off the eave. It's not going to rain hard enough to overcome what it takes to get off your lot. It's stuck, landlocked, there forever. You get 5 days of rain, you got a lake right here. I'm standing on your property for the sake of showing you this video. But right there, that 5 feet wide and about 10 feet, that becomes a lake every time it rains. There used to be a lake there. Before I graded this, and if I can find the video, I'll show you, of storms before I graded, there would be a 4-foot wide lake in front of your patio. Landlocked. A retention basin.